Hi everyone, Stepan here. I'm going to show you my round 5 game in the Croatian League. So I won the first 2 games in rounds 3 and 4. I couldn't play rounds 1 and 2. And in round 5 I'm facing an opponent whom I've played twice before. We drew both games. He is slightly over 2100. I'm just back at 2000, actually exactly 2000. And I played d4. I was expecting him to play what he always plays, which is Pirates/Modern/King's Indian structures, but he surprised me with Knight f6. And there are no games of his with Knight f6, especially with e6. So I decided to allow the Nimzo, because in the database on bishop b4 I always play queen c2. And I actually played the same move in the Trieste Open, which I haven't covered because I don't have the score sheets, that I played in this game. That's bishop d2, and that's something he couldn't have been prepared for because there are no games in the database. Now bishop d2 is a very slow move. It doesn't make too much sense visually, but white is not allowing any of the Nimzo typical structures and dynamic play. White is just going to develop the king side and then decide what to do, while at the same time covering the c3 square with the bishop and not allowing the doubled pawns. Also, I'm not committing my queen, so it could still come out to the king side. And it's not the best way to play against the Nimzo. Obviously, it's not the critical way, but it's good enough. My opponent played b6, and I wasn't comfortable with b6 because my prep was based on more common moves, castles and d5 and c5. b6 is a structure I wasn't familiar with bishop d2. My prep in this line isn't so extensive. I basically decided to play it because I'd assumed that my opponent's going to know less than me. Knight f3, bishop b7 and e3. And this is a main position. After the game I obviously did my work and studied all of this, so we both played correctly. Bishop d3. And now he actually played one of the most common moves, which was really surprising for me. He played bishop takes c3. Obviously the idea in the Nimzo always is to take control over the e4 square. So with this move my opponent is just playing knight e4 and wants to go f5 next. If I allow f5 I'm going to be worse. So even though I didn't know this exact position, I of course knew that I had to take on e4. There's no debate, I have to take. Okay, bishop e4, bishop e4. And now we are in a theoretical position where white has a very easy plan, and that's d5. I didn't know about this. I didn't find it over the board. I didn't play it. The idea is, of course, to allow queen d4 to open up the bishop. And normally you play f6 as black, just covering that square. If you take, that's okay, but I go queen d4, I force queen f6, and this is actually still theory. So, gf6, cd5, and it's supposed to be slightly better for white. So d5 was the move. But I played a move that's almost as good. It has only been played once, and white actually won the game. Knight d2. The idea is, of course, I want the bishop to commit to this diagonal. The g2 pawn cannot be taken, that's clear. But I would really like the bishop to go to g6, because then my king side is very, very safe, and I can castle king side, and I'm basically controlling the e4 square once again, because I can safely go f3, e4 later on. And if the bishop stays on the same diagonal, it's not that easy to do the same thing. I'm going to have to go e4 at some point and maybe prepare it with queen e2. Now if the pawn is taken, I go to g1. That's simple, bishop b7 followed by queen g4, provoking g6, and now just d5. And this is winning for white. I'm breaking through something like, I don't know, queen e7 followed by queen f4, queen h6, h4, h5, winning for white. So knight d2, my opponent played bishop b7, which is the best move. And at this point, I should castle kingside, which I didn't want to do. Now, I haven't covered the Road to GM series in a while, but I had a lot of stuff going on, because of which I decided to play way more aggressively. And I want to use chess as something where I'm no longer a coward. I'm no longer accepting draws or offering draws, and I'm trying to play for a win in every game. So I made a promise to myself about 6 months ago that when I play chess, I'm going to try to win, and I'm going to play the most concrete lines if I don't see that they don't work. So I played a move that's actually a mistake here, but it seemed interesting, and that's Queen G4. After this, black has a slight edge. The idea behind Queen G4 is to prepare D5 at an opportune moment and also play H4, H5, H6, and Rook H3, Rook G3. So my opponent played D6, and I actually wanted to play D5 straight away, but I couldn't see a follow-up. After Queen G4, it should be equal. After D6, white's slightly better, but I couldn't see a way past this. So D5, obviously E5, and after F4, Knight D7, I couldn't see a way forward. I wasn't sure whether I should allow this or not, because now my king side is completely compromised, so is my queen side, and I've given up the C5 square and the D3 square, so I have to castle, and I wasn't sure about this. My opponent can also just play F6 or C6 and start breaking through here. Maybe even A5 and take control over C5 fully. Now, obviously, this is fine for white. I didn't know it. So on D6, I castled queenside. Now black is slightly better again. My opponent played Knight D7. I should have gone E4, but I went H4. Because the knight's coming to F6, I want my queen on the king side. So I want to give my queen the H3 square. He played F5. And I played Queen H3, which is why I played H4. Queen E7. Now black is about -1. This does not work for white, unfortunately. Rook HG1. I want to go G4, and I want to, not hang my rook. He played E5 here, which is a big mistake. He should have gone Knight F6 and just played for the E4 square. On Knight F6, another idea behind Rook H1 was to go F3, G4. But if I go F3, my opponent can actually start breaking through immediately with B5. And if I take this, that's a disaster. Knight D5, I've just lost control over D5 and all of this is hanging. So I'd be considerably worse here on Knight F6. And I was going to go F3. But my opponent played E5. And now I had a chance to get back into the game with F4. And this was my original intention. I want to break through to G7. But against F4, I couldn't see what to do against Knight F6. So DE, let's say DE, and then Knight G4. Now this knight is perfectly outposted. E3 is hanging. The engine says equal. I just thought I was worse here. I saw this far. So on E5, my opponent's actually threatening to take stuff. So if I make a random move like King B1, then Rook E8, and it's complete control for my opponent. So on E5, I played Rook DE1. I wanted to prevent a capture on D4, which makes no sense. Now my rook is hanging, so I have to do something about that. And I played Knight F3, which is the losing move. Obviously now the idea is if they take, my rook's defended and they gain a tempo and I'm actually better, so they cannot take. But they can play Knight F6 and Knight E4, and there is no response to that. On Knight F6, I don't know, I have to go Knight D2 probably. Knight F6, Knight D2, then once again Knight G4. But my opponent surprised me, he took on F3, and now I'm definitely back in the game. GF, and the G file is open, the position is equal. My position is actually great now, I was really happy. He played Queen F7. And that attacks the C4 pawn. I can go Queen F1, I can go B3. The only move I didn't want to make was D5, because then I'm giving away the C5 square and the D3 square, and that's just awful. I can also throw in Queen G2, which I did play, which is an awful move, because my opponent can play Rook E7 defending G7 and then still threaten to take on C4. And Queen G2, Rook E7 is a bigger improvement for black than for white. Originally, I'd intended to go B3, but I was really afraid of A5. A5 does not work, because I can take on E5, D5, and Rook D1. And now with A4, I don't know, maybe King C2 or King B2. Let's say King C2. I'm just defending everything. There is no breakthrough here. Also, I could be able to go Bishop B4 at some point. But I threw in Queen G2. And after Rook E7, once again, I should have gone B3. I should have gone B3. And D5 is an awful move for two reasons. Firstly, I'm giving away the C5 square. Secondly, I'm allowing B5. But I still played it because of a miscalculation. And this is the worst miscalculation I had in a long time. I don't even know how to explain this. What I did makes no sense, but if you understand what I wanted to do, then you could find some sense in it. So I played d5. And on b5, my intention was to go f4. Okay? And if I go f4, I thought if my opponent plays bc4, if my opponent goes bc4, I can go fe5, and on knight e5, I can go h5. That's absurd, because queen h5. And now what do? I've just given up a pawn. Alternatively, if I don't go h5, if I go f4, then what did I just do? There is knight d3 check. So that doesn't work again. And my intention was on h5, knight d3 check, to just move my king, let's say, king d1. And if my opponent takes here, I can actually play king e1, and if queen h5, now then bishop takes g7 or queen g7, it's all mate. Queen g7 is actually mate. So that's what I wanted to do. So my idea was my opponent cannot play knight d3 check because eventually I'm breaking through. Now, if they take on h5 first, then I have nothing, because f4, they go knight g4. And that blocks the g file. So after my opponent played b5, I realized what I'd done, and I just didn't have a way out. I don't have a way out here. I knew that I was losing. So, yeah, and I didn't know what to do. So I played queen f1, which doesn't work, because bc4, if I take back, then my opponent takes on d5. So I played e4, making things worse. Fe, my opponent took on f2, I took on c4, and now he simply played queen c5. I have to move my queen back. I cannot trade queens because I lose the e4 pawn, and rook f2 is coming, queen f2 is coming. So I didn't know whether I should go queen d3 or queen f2, because queen e2 allows rook f2, but queen d3 allows rook f4. So I played queen e2. Luckily, my opponent didn't play rook f2 or rook f4, which would have been better. He played knight b6, and knight b6 is a mistake. Even though the knight's coming to a4, I've been given some free time, and I can actually go queen g4, and on knight a4, rook g3. So now at least if they take, I'm recapturing with the rook with some pressure. And at this point, I had about half an hour left. It's a 90 plus 30 game. My opponent had about 10 minutes, maybe 15. And he was spending a lot of time, because okay, you have to cover e6, you have to cover c8, you have to cover g7. And even though you know you're winning, it's not that simple to make sure that you don't blunder something. Okay, here he played queen f2, thinking I'm gonna, make a mistake like rook e1, and he's gonna play queen f4, winning. But I played bishop d2. I'd calculated things correctly. And the most interesting sacrifice here is knight b2, which I cannot take, but there is rook e2. And after the game, we'd been discussing this. Our conclusion was that it doesn't work because my rook covers d3. So knight b2, rook e2, queen d4. On queen c5, I have rook c3. On queen d4, that defends the knight, I go bishop c3. And if knight d3 check, obviously I cannot take that. I have to go king d2. But now, this is the part I didn't see. I thought I was winning here, but there's actually knight f2 attacking my queen. So knight f2, bishop d4, knight g4, black's winning. The rook and pawn endgame is obviously winning for black. It's just a massive advantage. Something like rook f1, for example, and on king takes d4, rook d1, or rook h1. I'm just losing this. There is no way I'm holding. So on bishop d2, my opponent played queen d4, and b2 is hanging. I have to defend. Now, once again, we're in the same position if they take on c3. So queen f2 again, I repeated. Obviously, I'm happy with the draw. I'm completely losing. Then he deviated with knight b6, once again getting the knight away from the action, and I was very happy to play b3. Now, I'm giving away the a1 square, and after queen d4, I have to cover a1. I cannot allow queen a1. That's just going to be awful. So bishop c3. And queen c5. And at this point, my opponent had maybe 3 minutes left, something like that. I had 20. And I found a way to to repeat unless my opponent is willing to invest a lot of time calculating lines. So firstly, this rook is no longer tied down to the back rank because the knight covers c8. So this rook can technically move. And my opponent's idea is queen a3 or rook f2. So if I make a nothing move, I don't know, h5, then rook f2 does not really work because I still have rook e2 and I can defend. I can also go king b1. And if they go queen a3, then king b1, and on rook f2, I can still go rook e2. And maybe I'm holding, but this was the threat I was worried about. So I have to prevent two threats, but I have no way of preventing both of them. So I have to create counterplay. So I can gain a tempo on this rook. So I played queen g5. Now, if the rook moves away to, let's say, e8, then it's mate. Okay. If my opponent plays rook f7, then that prevents rook f2. So I was thinking, if rook f7, then I just go king b1. I've prevented both threats, and what does my opponent do? And that is true. So I don't know. If they make a random move, I have no way to make progress, obviously. I can maybe go rook c1 and threaten something here, but that wasn't clear to me. So on queen g5, my opponent actually played rook d7. Now, bear in mind, he has 3 minutes on the clock. And I thought, okay, let's just target the rook again. So I played queen g4. Now, if you move this knight, then I'm taking the rook. Okay? And if you go rook f4, I go queen e6. So my idea was not just to target the rook, but to infiltrate on e6. So if he plays, rook f2, then queen e6 check. And if you play rook f7, I go rook f1. If you play rook d f7, then queen e8. Rook f8, queen e6, and eventually you're going to have to play king h8. When you play king h8, I thought I had a great position with queen g4, which is absurd. That makes no sense at all, because g6 is just a safe defense. I have no time for h5. In my mind, I'd lost a full tempo, because on h5, there is queen a3, and I resign. But fortunately for me, on queen g5, rook d7, queen g4, my opponent played rook e7 and offered the draw, and I gladly accepted it. I mean, of course. I knew that I was busted here, but there are some tricks, and of course, you can make a mistake. Now, my opponent told me that he'd almost played rook f6. On queen g5, he'd almost played rook f6. And he said, when I'm under 10 minutes, I'm in time trouble and I get anxious. Obviously, rook f6 just hangs a full rook. It just takes. So I'm happy that he didn't play this. He didn't deserve to lose. And I know the feeling when you're in time trouble, when you're trying to not blunder anything. In any case, I drew the game. I shouldn't have drawn the game. I should have lost the game. I definitely deserved to lose because I played very poorly. And I was also surprised in the opening, and I stumbled upon the correct book continuation, and then I didn't play d5. So definitely not a good game, but it highlighted a hole in my, not repertoire, but my safe repertoire when I'm not prepared. Thank you for watching. We're going to be continuing the Sicilian series tomorrow. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye-bye.